Hi guys, today we're gonna make a pan-seared churrasco with a blackberry chimichurri. If you ever had a chimichurri sauce, normally it's done with herbs. Parsley is normally the main herb. We're gonna use parsley as the main herb, but we're also gonna use some blackberries. Chimichurri is a sauce that I love using with steaks, so it's gonna be a little tart, herbaceous, and it's gonna be perfect with a churrasco. And if you're pairing that with the red wine, even better. So we're gonna begin with the chimichurri. We're gonna start with the base of it. We're gonna begin by grating some garlic. So we're gonna grab a couple garlic cloves, and you can use a microplane or a garlic press if you want, and just grate 2 of these guys in there. You should get about a big tablespoon of grated garlic. So now that the garlic is grated, we're gonna add half of our blackberries in the mix. We're gonna muddle these to create a little bit of that sauce. We're also gonna put some chili flakes in there. That's gonna give us some heat. All right, so just grab them and gently just kind of smash them in there. All right, next we're gonna add some citrus. We're gonna add some fresh squeezed lime. All right, you can squeeze it by hand or you can use one of these contractions. Lemon squeezer is good. So now we're gonna add a red wine vinegar. We're also gonna season this with salt and pepper at this time. Next, we're gonna dice up some red onion. The next thing we're gonna add is the remaining blackberries. Those we're gonna cut in half. Once you have all your blackberries cut, you're gonna put that in the sauce. And next we're gonna chop up our parsley. So this is Italian parsley. You can use curly parsley, but either one works really well for this. I'm gonna remove just loosely the bottom part of the stems. Some of the stem here is fine. So you can leave a little bit in there. So what I like to do, I like to roll this up together as a bunch and then give this a pre-slice before I chop it up. I'm gonna cut little thin strips out of this, and then I'm gonna go and chop it up. All right, that looks good. So you want a nice chop, doesn't have to be too fine, but a nice rough chop, that enough that there's in small pieces. So we're gonna put that into the bowl. At this point, you can add the vegetable oil. That's gonna help give it a little body, because the extra virgin has a strong olive oil taste. You don't wanna put too much extra virgin. The combination of both is gonna give it a nice balance. That way we have balanced flavors and nothing's overpowered in there. All right, we plate this up over here. See how beautiful it looks. A blackberry chimichurri. Let's get started with the churrasco now. So we're gonna get a nice frying pan, get that on high heat. We're gonna put a little bit of canola oil, and we're gonna season the churrasco. The churrasco is the outer skirt steak, and it has a lot of iron, like that irony flavor that you get from filet mignon. So you get this very flavorful cut of meat. So we're gonna season that with salt and pepper. And you can be generous with that. You want that nice little crust of salt and pepper on there. And now we're gonna season it with a little garlic powder, a little touch of cumin, and give it a little pat down. That's gonna give it a little crust. You're gonna give it impart a lot of flavor. You have that garlic and cumin combo that's a killer combo. So we're gonna flip it and do the same on these guys. right, so this is now seasoned, ready to go. We're gonna put that in our hot pan. We want this high, so as soon as it hits the pan, we wanna hear that tss. There you go. So we're gonna leave that on high for a good 3 minutes, and then we're gonna check it before we flip it. All right, so now we're gonna check it. Give it a little flip. Nice. So we got nice crust over here, some caramelization. Don't be scared of that little piece, because remember we put all that spice rub, so you almost give it a bit of a blackening touch. And when you cut it, you're gonna have a little thinner, that little crunchy spice crust in there. All right. So I'm gonna flip it now. Leave lower to medium high, and let it go another 2 more minutes. That's gonna give us, for that piece of the steak, a nice medium rare. I'm gonna put it on the cutting board so it doesn't continue cooking. And you can let the rest on the cutting board, or if you have a resting rack, you can put that as well on there. All right, guys, so now we're gonna slice the steak. Grab your plate, and I'm gonna have that ready to go over here. Now, when you're cutting the churrasco, or the outer skirt steak, the grain is these little lines of meat that are going this way across. So this is the long meat, the grain are going this way. So you wanna cut not with it, you wanna cut against it at an angle. That way when you bite the meat, it's gonna be nice and tender, and it falls apart. So and I'm gonna do what's called fanning it out. You're just gonna spread it a little bit, almost looks like a little staircase. And we'll put that right on the plate. All right, now that we have our meat on the plate, look at that. We're gonna top it off with our delicious Blackberry Chimichurri. Look at that, looking good right here. Feel free to use some of that oil too. Drizzle that liquidy oil over some of the meat. And it looks beautiful, it gives that nice little purple hues in there from our smashed blackberries. Here we go, guys. This is our pan-seared churrasco with our Blackberry Chimichurri. All right, guys. So now we're gonna slice the steak. Look at that beauty. Grab your plate, and I'm gonna have that ready to go over here. Now, when you're cutting the churrasco or the outer skirt steak, the grain is these little lines of meat that are going this way across. So this is the long meat. The grain are going this way. So you want to cut not with it. You want to cut against it at an angle. That way, when you bite the meat, it's gonna be nice and tender, and it falls apart. So